What's up, guys? Don't mind the hair and the face, and it's whatever. So we are going to read another one of these because I have some time this evening, and so this is the fan fiction "Rufus, Raine, and the American Witch" by Amaya Howard that you guys have wanted me to read. Continue reading, so we're gonna read another chapter real quick here. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Put that up there. My nose is running too, so I'm just going to apologize now. So Rufus Raine just had he had his little situation. Crying a little bit because Darling's in love with Pine, and it just disgusts him, and he's heartbroken. So anyway, this is the next day. The day finally came for the first Hogmead's visit of the year. I hadn't intended on going. This is not Professor Raine. This is the main character, Monroe. So, just backstory there if you have not been watching all of these. Okay. I hadn't intended on going, but Alex and me to go with him, so I managed to fake my parents' signature in order to be allowed to go. Something's wrong with that sentence, but I'm going to keep going. It wasn't a date. At least it wasn't for me. I only agreed to go with him because it was my first time going there, and I was nervous about getting lost. The carriage ride to Hogsmeade was very short since it wasn't very far from Hogwarts. Alex sat a bit too close to me, and I was getting uncomfortable. I was relieved when the carriage stopped and we were finally there. The first place we went to was Zunko's joke shop, a personal favorite of Alex. He was a huge fan of pranks and bought many of the store's joke items. Hey, we could pull a prank together sometime, he offered with a smirk. I don't really like pranks. Besides, you only want to prank Slytherins, and there's no way I'm going to be pranking members of my own house, I answered with a chuckle. Pranks weren't really my thing. I didn't see the point in bothering people for your own amusement. Alex purchased extendable ears and a couple of screaming yo-yos. Next, we went to Honeyduke's. The candy store was packed with enormous amounts of candy, which was my biggest weakness. I had a bit of a sweet tooth. These candies were a lot different from American candies, so I didn't know what to choose. I don't know any of these. You got any suggestions? I asked Alex. Well, fudge flies and chocolate frogs are delicious if you're a chocolate kind of gal, but pumpkin pasties are unbeatable, he said. I bought 2 packs of chocolate frogs and some pumpkin pasties, and we exited the store. These sweets are almost as sweet as you are, said Alex flirtatiously as he ate a packet of fudge flies. The compliment was cliché and cheesy. If they were as sweet as I am, they'd taste like coffee, I replied with an eye roll. That's actually pretty funny. He had been complimenting me all day, and I was getting nauseous from it. From there, we headed to the Three Broomsticks. The inn was crowded but clean and welcoming. I saw Violet sitting with her Hufflepuff friends several tables from where we were sitting. I ordered a round of butterbeer, and Alex insisted on paying, which I appreciated since I could barely understand the English wizarding currency system. The butterbeer there tastes different from what I was used to. It was a lot less sweet, but I still liked it. Alex and I talked about the upcoming Slytherin versus Gryffindor game. If you expect me to go easy on you just because we're friends, you got another thing coming, he joked, earning a smile from me. Doesn't matter, my team is going to win either way, I responded confidently. Our team had been practicing 3 times a week, and we were on our way to victory. As we were discussing Quidditch techniques, we heard a commotion outside the inn. I quickly grabbed my wand and ran outside to see what was going on. Spells were flying everywhere. Masked men and women were spreading out and attacking. Death Eaters again, I thought. Come on, let's go. We need to get the hell out of here, yelled Alex. I was surprised to hear such scared words from a Gryffindor. He was supposed to be brave, but instead just wanted to escape and leave everyone there. What? Are you crazy? We need to stay and fight. People are going to get hurt, I responded, grabbing his wrist before he could escape. He got away from my grip and started running away. You're a fucking coward, Alex, I yelled as he was running off in the distance. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Yep. Okay, we're back. Running off the distance, I took out my wand and started to fight off the Death Eaters. I was furious at Alex for leaving, and when there was danger, instead of staying to fight and help the younger kids stay safe. I didn't use any dark magic, since Pine was very clear about what would happen if I did, but without dark magic, it was so much harder to fight the dark wizards. I was running towards an alley where I could see a Ravenclaw struggling to fend off a Death Eater, but ran into Professor Darling, who was holding a large coin. For a brief moment, I looked at it and saw dark runes. Before I could say anything, Professor Darling's eyes turned black as she disappeared right in front of me. And she disappeared right in front of me. The moment she disappeared, the Death Eaters disapparated, and I was standing frozen in shock. Professor Pine came running to me. "What the hell did you do, Monroe?" he accused me. I hadn't done anything, but he was blaming me just because I used dark magic before. "Professor, it wasn't me. It was a coin. She was holding it, and then her eyes turned black and she was gone," I said, scared. Pine's eyes showed realization, and he nodded, saying he believed me. Then he told me to get back to the carriages and take any students I see on the way with me. Okay. Back at Hogwarts, people were whispering about Professor Darling's disappearance. Rumors were flying around about what had happened. I don't know what to think. After what I saw, Pine seemed to know what the coin was as he carefully took it away from the scene. I wanted to inspect the coin and its dark runes, but I didn't know where it was kept. All the students were gathered in the dining hall as the head mistress explained the situation. "Silence. Everybody sit down. As you may know, Professor Darling disappeared during the Hogsmeade visit. I am sorry to say that we believe it may have something to do with the Death Eater attack. We don't know much yet, but we are searching for her and any possible clues as to what happened. I promise you she will be back at Hogwarts in no time. Lessons will take place as usual, and there are no cancellations currently," she said. After dinner, Alex tried to talk to me, but I told him I wasn't interested in hanging out with a coward like himself. Noting on how he chose to flee from the danger like a scared child. He didn't appreciate my mockery of him, and he told me I would regret it. I was in no way scared of him. I was disgusted how he bolted the second there was danger, instead of thinking of others who might need help fighting. People could have died if it wasn't for the professors and multiple students who stayed to defend them. When the school week started, everyone was anxious and worried. There hadn't been many developments regarding the disappearance of Professor Darling, and I could see that even the professors were starting to get uneasy. It was Tuesday, and the time came for that day's tutoring session with Raine. Professor Raine. I got to the classroom quite early since I finally managed to understand the changing of staircases. Standing outside the Transfiguration classroom, I heard two voices arguing. "Calm down. All I'm asking is if you had anything to do with this. Everyone knows you had a thing for Professor Darling. I just want you to know if we're somehow involved in this," said one of them. I recognized it as Professor Pine's voice. There was a short pause. "Any feelings I had for Darling are irrelevant. She was taken by Death Eaters. You're trying to flaunt it in my face that you're together by accusing me of kidnapping her. I get it. You won. And she chose you. And she loved you. But now she's gone, and we need to focus on finding her instead of continuing this stupid rivalry," yelled Professor Raine angrily. I hadn't known that he was briefly in love with Professor Darling. I felt bad for eavesdropping on their conversation. They argued for a minute more before Pine stormed out. Luckily, he didn't notice me hiding behind the door. I waited a few minutes before entering so Raine wouldn't know I heard their hostile conversation. I cleared my throat to get his attention. Hello, Professor. I am here for the tutoring session, I said awkwardly. He looked like he was about to burst into tears. I could see he wasn't taking Darling's situation too well. Nevertheless, he told me to come in and we started the session. He was a bit distracted and more snarky than usual, but he was able to help me a bit in herbology as I was having some trouble with the homework that Professor Honey assigned that day. He ended the lesson a bit early, saying he had something to get to. It was hard seeing him like this. His usual confident demeanor was gone and replaced by a fidgety and restless one. He wasn't the only one taking the situation badly. A lot of the Hufflepuffs were worried about their head of house, and several of them broke into tears when they heard she was taken. I wanted to help somehow, and I had a crazy idea I knew I was going to regret. Okay. That was kind of a lot to get through because my nose is so stuffed up. But, making it work. So the next chapter for the next video, whenever that may be, is the cursed coin. So, thanks for reading with me. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And, talk to you soon.